How much does a drop of rain weigh? When several drops are accumulated together in a gallon jug, it becomes a weight of approximately 8 pounds. What if you were asked to carry that jug of water around for an entire day? 8 pounds does not sound like much, but I guarantee you that you would think about it and that it would be somewhat of an annoyance. Your every thought would be preoccupied of how you could rid yourself of that excess weight. Now, consider for a moment how much rain falls if 1 inch covers 1 square mile of land. That equates to 206 million gallons of rain, or 1.7 billion pounds. You might wonder what I'm getting at with all of this. The current population of the United States is somewhere around 300 million people, and the current public consumer debt is at $2.5 trillion. When we compare this with our rain example, the Federal Reserve in 2007 states that means for each consumer in the United States there's $8,200 of debt. Somewhat like each consumer is carrying around that gallon jug of water for their entire lives. Out of the many credit card holders in the United States, of which there are only a portion of the population, each person carries an average of 9 credit cards. 9 credit cards. I know, it surprised me too. Now, when we think about credit and we think about spending, several studies done and cited on various websites show that the average American consumer will spend $1.22 for every dollar he or she earns. That 22 cents does not seem like much. We can equate it to our drop of rain in our rain example. When several of those 22 cents are added up for each dollar that our consumer earns and spends, that becomes like the gallon jug. And when the whole society's debt is compounded together, that becomes like our 1.7 billion pounds of rain, which has fallen over the 1 square mile of land. The American Institute of Certified Public Accountants stated in 2007 that 24% of income spent by 25 to 35-year-olds is spent repaying debt, whether it be college, houses, or other various loans that they've taken out. That is a quarter of their yearly earnings. In most cases, that would be enough to pay for a house. Now, this is just 24%. That's consumer debt, not even taking into account their mortgages. The effects of this crisis of debt can be seen in our unstable economic situation. Those 22 cents, as they build and build and build, the weight and the burden on society becomes greater, and it is heavier and more difficult to carry. The recent subprime mortgage crisis is an example, although not of consumer debt, is an example of what happens when over time the entire society gathers and accumulates this huge amount of debt. Over the past few years, the number of bankruptcies has been up significantly, which is a direct result of these debt carrying practices. What can we as businesses do to help consumers decrease the amount of debt they're carrying? I believe that businesses have a responsibility not only to pay their employees, possibly to teach them how to use those resources. It is in business's best interest. An employee who is burdened with a large amount of debt will not be able to work effectively. Also, he or she will be constantly thinking about how they can get rid of the debt. So it is an employer's best interest to either provide some sort of internal training for those employees about basic things such as budgeting, responsible borrowing, facts about credit cards and debt, so that they can make educated decisions. Or it might be wise and cost-effective for employers to pay to send their employees to conferences where these things are taught. We could, as businesses, also give money to organizations to promote consumer awareness. We could donate money and time to schools so that they can spend time teaching and educating young people about debt and what we can do to avoid it and what we can do to repay it society very effectively. One such organization you can find is Feed the Pig. You can find information on their organization at feedthepig.org. So it is in the best interest not only of ourselves to reduce the amount of consumer debt which we are carrying individually, but also, as we have seen recently, when we carry too much debt as a society, it has a negative effect upon all of us.